The broadcast begins with a tense split screen. Senator Elizabeth Warren on one side, poised and sharp, and Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett on the other, serene yet alert. The studio hums with anticipation. Cameras sweep the room, catching every flicker of movement and every whispered murmur. Without warning, Warren leans in, her tone cutting, her eyes locked on Crockett. "Congresswoman Crockett," she begins, a trace of challenge in her voice, "how do you justify your recent stance on Policy X in the face of overwhelming criticism?" The words land like a jolt, intended to unsettle. The anchor's hand trembles over the cue cards and the audience leans forward, sensing the moment could spiral out of control. Crockett's gaze remains steady. Her lips curve into a faint, knowing smile. She does not flinch, does not stumble. The silence stretches, palpable, heavy, electric. The room holds its collective breath. Social media notifications begin to buzz in real time as viewers immediately recognize the tension unfolding on live television. Warren's sharpness meets Crockett's calm like a storm hitting a still lake. Each word from the senator seems to demand a reaction, but Crockett's measured pause, her deliberate composure, commands the space instead. Every camera angle shifts to capture her expression. Every microphone picks up the subtle inflection in her voice. Every journalist scribbles notes that will dominate tomorrow's headlines. Gasps ripple through the audience. The lights flicker overhead as if reacting to the drama. The anchor attempts to regain control, voice wavering, eyes darting between the two women, unsure how to bridge the growing silence. Headlines flash across news tickers. Senator Warren questions Crockett, room stunned. Clips are already trending on social media. Viewers pausing, replaying, sharing the shocking tension, and then the moment comes. Crockett leans in, her response calm, sharp, and unflinching. The words slice through the anticipation, not just answering the question, but elevating it. Cameras capture every reaction, Warren blinking, momentarily speechless, the audience frozen. The anchors caught mid-breath. What Jasmine said next didn't just answer the question. It redefined the moment, sending a ripple through the studio, the broadcast, and the digital world beyond. In that instant, the stage was set for a showdown that no one would forget. To understand the tension now gripping the studio, we rewind just hours before the live broadcast. Senator Elizabeth Warren had agreed to a rare head-to-head discussion with Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett on a nationally televised forum titled Leadership, Policy, and the Future of America. The network promoted it as a high-stakes conversation, but few anticipated it would become an unforgettable moment of political theater. Warren arrived with her signature intensity, an expert in strategy, a relentless questioner of policies, and a master of exposing contradictions in public service. Her goal was clear: challenge Crockett's positions, probe for weaknesses, and demonstrate her own mastery of legislative knowledge. Every advisor, every camera angle, and every question she planned was meticulously calculated to create maximum impact. Crockett, however, brought a different force to the room. Known for her direct truth-telling and unwavering composure, she had faced political pressure, media scrutiny, and personal attacks before, and emerged unshaken. Unlike many who crumble under public challenge, Crockett carried a quiet strength, an authenticity that resonated with millions watching from home. She understood that leadership is measured not just in knowledge, but in the courage to stand firm when provoked. As the debate drew closer, the media frenzy reached a fever pitch. Social feeds erupted with speculation, hashtags trended before the first words were even spoken, and pundits offered predictions about who would dominate the stage. Cable news programs dissected every potential angle, framing it as a clash between experience and authenticity, power and principle, pressure and calm. Online communities debated in real time. Would Warren's incisive questioning intimidate Crockett, or would Crockett's steadfastness redefine the narrative? The stakes extended far beyond the broadcast. Americans were watching more than just a political exchange. They were witnessing the dynamics of leadership under scrutiny. The conversation became a lens for evaluating integrity, honesty, and the ability to withstand pressure without resorting to theatrics. It was a test of the qualities that shape public trust: poise, clarity, and moral authority. Inside the studio, the tension was tangible. Producers checked monitors obsessively, assistants whispered updates from social media, and both figures prepared for a performance that could sway opinions far beyond the cameras. Every question, every answer, every pause carried weight. Every expression was a signal. Every glance a potential viral moment. Crockett's supporters felt a surge of anticipation. Here was a politician whose reputation for truthfulness could confront one of the most disciplined and formidable figures in Washington. Warren's team, confident in their tactical preparation, anticipated a rigorous exchange that would reinforce their own narrative of experience and authority. And then the cameras rolled, capturing a moment that would quickly surpass ratings, social media engagement, and conventional debate coverage. What seemed like a standard televised discussion had transformed into a stage where authenticity and strategy collided, where calm met pressure, and where one single exchange could redefine public perception. No one expected a single exchange to ripple across politics and social media like this. Elizabeth, Warren's rise in American politics is a story of intellect, precision, and relentless ambition. From the lecture halls of Ivy League institutions to the marble floors of the Senate, she built a reputation as a meticulous strategist, a master of policy intricacies, and a force to be reckoned with in any debate. Her career has been defined by preparation, by turning complex legislation into sharp arguments, and by holding opponents accountable with a level of scrutiny few could match. Known for her piercing questions and unyielding standards, Warren has long commanded attention in committee hearings, town halls, and live broadcasts. Colleagues describe her as a relentless researcher, a woman who knows the history, the numbers, and the nuance behind every proposal. For supporters, this is the very definition of leadership, a lawmaker who doesn't shy away from confrontation, who challenges power, and who wields knowledge as her weapon. Yet, alongside admiration comes perception. Warren's mastery of strategy and rhetoric often creates an aura of untouchable authority, one that some interpret as arrogance. The public sees a figure whose intellect is unmatched, but whose intensity can intimidate even seasoned professionals. Her questions, precise and pointed, can feel less like dialogue and more like a calculated dissection, each pause measured, each phrase designed to corner an opponent. Critics argue that beneath the policy acumen lies a tendency to dominate the room, to command attention with a force that can verge on theatrical. This duality, respected by many, feared by some, is central to understanding the power dynamics heading into her live exchange with Jasmine Crockett. Warren represents the pinnacle of political preparation, the embodiment of elite training and mastery, yet she also carries the burden of expectation. Every move she makes is scrutinized, every question analyzed for intent, every glance weighed for impact. Her career has been a masterclass in political influence, yet influence alone cannot guarantee victory against a challenger armed with authenticity and unwavering composure. Public perception mirrors this tension. Her supporters hail her as a champion of diligence and intellectual rigor, a policymaker who elevates debate through knowledge and principle. Social media threads dissect her speeches, praising her for exposing inconsistencies in opponents, for holding power accountable. But critics push back, framing her approach as elitist, overbearing, and at times detached from the human experience she claims to serve. Memes circulate portraying her as domineering. Viral clips highlight the intensity of her questioning, fueling the narrative that while she commands the room, she may also alienate it. Her reputation as a formidable debater precedes her everywhere. Televised interviews, panel discussions, and Senate hearings have all reinforced her image, precise, prepared, and unwavering. Yet this image, polished and powerful, masks an important vulnerability: the assumption that sheer knowledge and strategy can dominate any engagement. Warren's confidence, honed over decades, is both her greatest asset and a potential blind spot. As she takes her place opposite Crockett, all eyes are on her preparation, her poise, and her strategy. Behind the cameras, advisors whisper about the importance of every word, every posture, every pause. It is a performance shaped by years of experience, yet it is about to encounter something unexpected, a challenger whose strength lies not in preparation alone, but in authenticity, courage, and the ability to remain unshaken under pressure. The stage is set, the questions are ready, and the audience waits with bated breath. But her most formidable challenge hasn't even begun, and it wasn't in policy alone. Jasmine Crockett's story is one of grit, perseverance, and an unwavering commitment to truth. From the earliest days of her career, she immersed herself in community advocacy, working long hours in neighborhoods often overlooked by policymakers. Her work wasn't glamorous. It wasn't about headlines or viral moments. It was about listening to people whose voices were rarely heard, understanding their struggles, and fighting for justice in the halls where decisions that shaped their lives were made. Her path from local activism to the national stage was neither smooth nor easy. Every step forward came with scrutiny, criticism, and moments of doubt. She faced systemic barriers that tested her resolve, entrenched bureaucracy, institutional bias, and the skepticism of those who questioned whether someone from her background could make a meaningful impact in Washington. Yet each challenge became a stepping stone. Crockett's approach was never to be the loudest in the room, but to be the most prepared, the most authentic, and the most grounded. Long nights spent poring over legislation, hours devoted to community meetings, and the personal sacrifices she made for her principles shaped her character. Friends and colleagues recall a woman who often worked silently behind the scenes, yet whose voice carried clarity and authority when it mattered most. Every criticism, every misstep by others, every systemic obstacle she encountered only deepened her understanding of justice and sharpened her ability to articulate it. Contrasting sharply with figures like Warren, Crockett embodies humility and accessibility. She does not command the room through polished rhetoric alone. She earns attention through authenticity, empathy, and moral conviction. While her opponent's intellect is celebrated in elite circles, Crockett's power comes from a deeper, human connection. She speaks for people, not just policies. She knows the stakes because she has lived them alongside the constituents she represents. Her words resonate not because they are rehearsed, but because they are lived. Throughout her journey, Crockett has learned to navigate public scrutiny without losing her sense of self. The glare of media attention, the pressure of political rivals, and the weight of representing marginalized voices could have crushed a lesser spirit. Instead, they honed her ability to remain composed under fire, to respond with precision rather than impulsivity, and to turn moments of confrontation into opportunities for clarity and education. Her rise was punctuated by moments that demanded courage, advocating for equitable policies, standing firm against unfair criticism, and making difficult choices that aligned with her values even when they were politically risky. Each decision, each principled stand, built the foundation for the poised, confident figure seen today. Crockett's story is not just one of achievement. It is a narrative of integrity sustained in the face of systemic challenges. Public perception reflects this duality. To her supporters, she is a beacon of hope, a representative who listens, understands, and acts. Social media buzz often highlights her composure, her insightful responses, and her ability to confront powerful figures without resorting to theatrics. Critics, on the other hand, sometimes underestimate her, misinterpreting her calm demeanor for passivity. But those who underestimate her soon discover the strength that lies beneath. A combination of intellect, empathy, and an unshakable moral compass. Her authenticity, humility, and grounded nature make her uniquely prepared for the challenge ahead. While elite Polish may dominate the optics, Crockett's experience ensures that substance cannot be overshadowed. Her preparation, born from years of grassroots advocacy and legislative diligence, allows her to navigate high-pressure moments with a clarity that captivates and commands respect. As the stage is set for the confrontation with Warren, Crockett steps into the spotlight with a quiet confidence. She does not need to intimidate. Her presence alone signals that she is ready. Her resilience, her clarity of thought, and her unwavering commitment to principle would soon captivate everyone watching. And in the moments that follow, those qualities would not just respond to questions, they would redefine what it means to lead with authenticity, courage, and integrity. The cameras returned to the live broadcast, the air thick with anticipation. Elizabeth Warren leaned forward, her gaze sharp, her voice precise, projecting the authority and expertise that had defined her Senate career. Every word was calculated, every question a challenge meant to probe, unsettle, and assert dominance. The audience could feel the weight of her presence, the kind of pressure only a seasoned political tactician could generate. Across the split screen, Jasmine Crockett remained calm. Her posture unshaken, her expression measured, she absorbed each pointed question with quiet intensity. While Warren's cadence demanded attention, Crockett's composure held its own gravity. She did not flinch, did not interject prematurely, yet her eyes betrayed a readiness to respond with clarity and precision. The tension between them became almost tangible, a clash of authority versus authenticity, expertise versus lived experience. As the questioning continued, Warren's approach shifted subtly. Her questions became sharper, phrased to expose gaps, to highlight contradictions, to push Crockett into a defensive corner. The interruptions were slight but deliberate, subtle overlaps, cutting pauses, a raised eyebrow here, a pointed inflection there. Each tactic was designed to destabilize, to provoke an off-the-cuff reaction that could be seized upon by cameras and social media alike. Crockett's response was methodical. She allowed each question to hang for a moment, weighing her words with deliberate care. Her pauses were not hesitation, they were strategic, creating a rhythm that drew viewers in, compelling them to lean forward to listen. The contrast between Warren's urgency and Crockett's calm intensity amplified every nuance, every micro-expression captured by the cameras. The audience could see it. Gasps at unexpected points, murmurs ripple through the studio, raised eyebrows signaling both shock and anticipation. The production team struggled to keep pace. Camera cuts darted between the two figures, capturing minute shifts, a flicker of surprise on Warren's face, a barely perceptible tightening of Crockett's jaw, the collective intake of breath from the live audience. Each frame heightened the suspense, each reaction layering tension like cinematic beats in a high-stakes thriller. Viewers watching at home felt every second stretch, the electricity of the exchange palpable even through their screens. Social media chatter began even before the segment ended. Clips of the debate surfaced instantly, commentators dissecting the body language, the tone, the precision of each answer. Analysts noted the stark contrast, the senator's polished dominance versus the Congresswoman's poised, unflinching authenticity. Every interruption, every carefully measured response became fodder for instant viral analysis. The debate was no longer just a political exchange. It had transformed into a spectacle of intellect, composure, and moral authority. The atmosphere reached a crescendo as Warren posed her most pointed question yet. The room held its breath, anchors faltering mid-sentence, the cameras lingering on Crockett's steady gaze. Then, as if the world collectively exhaled, she responded, not with volume, but with undeniable clarity and precision. Her words cut through the tension, dismantling assumptions, challenging authority, and reframing the narrative in real time. It was a moment that shifted everything. In that instant, viewers sensed that this exchange had transcended politics. It had become a study in presence, poise, and the quiet power of truth. The reactions, visible, audible, instantaneous, confirmed it. Every gasp, every click of a camera shutter, every murmur of the audience marked a turning point. And then came the line that turned this exchange into an unforgettable viral moment. The room fell into a heavy, expectant silence. Every eye in the studio was fixed on Jasmine Crockett. Elizabeth Warren's carefully constructed questions, sharp and relentless, had been met with the calm, unwavering gaze of a congresswoman who refused to be rattled. Crockett inhaled slowly, measured, then began to speak, not loudly, not aggressively, but with a precision that cut sharper than any raised voice could. Line by line, She dismantled the assumptions embedded in Warren's questioning. Each phrase was deliberate, a scalpel separating rhetoric from reality. She highlighted contradictions, exposed overgeneralizations, and reframed the entire debate with clarity that left no room for misinterpretation. Her words moved like carefully timed strikes, confident, clear, and devastating in their accuracy. The cameras caught every subtle micro-expression. Warren blinked, momentarily caught off guard. The corners of her mouth twitched in an almost imperceptible moment of disbelief. For a senator known for composure and control, this was a rare lapse, a crack in the polished facade. Anchors on the set froze mid-sentence, their practiced neutrality faltering as the weight of Crockett's calm authority washed over the room. Studio lights flickered against the stunned faces of the audience, capturing the moment in cinematic slow motion, every heartbeat amplified for maximum tension. Crockett didn't shout. She didn't gesture wildly. Her posture remained firm, her tone steady. But the impact of her words was seismic. Each sentence landed with the force of truth, dismantling the narrative Warren had attempted to impose. Viewers at home could almost feel the tension compress into a single point. A moment where logic, experience, and moral clarity converged into undeniable power. As the silence stretched, the phones in the audience began to light up. Social media erupted in real time. Clips of Crockett's rebuttal flooded Twitter. Threads exploded with analysis. Memes went viral within seconds. Commentators dissected every nuance, the calm demeanor, the intellectual rigor, the emotional intelligence displayed under pressure. Online forums buzzed, hashtags trended globally, and within moments, the exchange became a shared cultural moment. The emotional crescendo built steadily. Supporters of Crockett felt vindication, a sense of justice for the unwavering courage she demonstrated. Even casual viewers recognized the artistry of her composure, a quiet defiance that spoke volumes. Every pause, every carefully chosen word resonated with the audience, sending waves of validation and awe across social platforms. This wasn't just a debate response. It was a performance of integrity and intellect, a rare alignment of public trust and personal conviction. The reactions were cinematic in scale. Anchors struggled to maintain their rhythm. Camera operators adjusted to capture subtle shifts in expression, and the live feed itself seemed to tremble with the energy of the moment. Every reaction amplified the gravity. Whispers of astonishment, murmurs of admiration, the collective intake of breath from viewers both in the studio and online. Crockett had not only answered the question, she had commanded the room. Critics and supporters alike paused. The lines she delivered were shared, replayed, and analyzed endlessly. Viral commentators labeled it a masterclass in composure, while political analysts scrambled to contextualize the rapid shift in perception. The discourse around the debate transformed instantly. The focus was no longer on Warren's questioning, but on Crockett's calm dismantling of it. Her reputation as a fearless truth-teller solidified in real time, and yet Crockett's power lay not in spectacle, but in substance. She referenced records, highlighted legislative consistency, and subtly but unmistakably underscored the principles at stake: integrity, fairness, and accountability. Each rebuttal reinforced her authority, not through volume, but through irrefutable clarity. It was a demonstration of mastery, the ability to command attention without dominating the room, to win hearts and minds without raising her voice. The studio remained suspended in awe, a collective silence filled only by the unspoken recognition that something monumental had occurred. This was not just a victory in a debate. It was a cultural touchstone, a viral phenomenon born from intellect and calm fortitude. Viewers everywhere felt it. The satisfaction of seeing arrogance met with measured truth, the recognition of a leader who could withstand pressure without sacrificing principles. In the following moments, reactions continued to cascade. Analysts debated her phrasing, political strategists recalibrated messaging, and social media lit up with global attention. Memes, GIFs, and clips proliferated, each iteration reinforcing Crockett's dominance in that defining exchange. The echo of her words reverberated far beyond the walls of the studio, capturing imaginations, inspiring discussion, and solidifying a moment that would be remembered as a turning point in political discourse. Finally, as the cameras lingered on her composed demeanor, the full magnitude of the moment sank in. The exchange had transformed expectations, that composure and truth could cut through authority, that intellect could silence intimidation, that dignity could overpower arrogance. Crockett had not merely answered a question, she had redefined what it meant to stand firm in the spotlight, demonstrating that real power lies in clarity, courage, and unshakable poise. It wasn't just a debate response. It was a statement that echoed far beyond the studio. As the debate cameras powered down, the world outside the studio ignited. Social media exploded with activity, a digital maelstrom that rippled across platforms and continents. Hashtags like Crockett clapback and Warren stunned surged into trending lists worldwide, drawing millions into the conversation within minutes. Clips of Jasmine Crockett's composed yet cutting responses circulated at lightning speed, shared, retweeted, and dissected with obsessive intensity. Talk shows immediately picked up the footage, replaying her lines frame by frame. Anchors and analysts struggled to contain their reactions, some in disbelief, others in admiration. Political strategists scrambled to adjust messaging, recognizing that Crockett's poised dismantling had shifted the narrative entirely. Even commentators known for their partisan views paused, forced to acknowledge the precision and authority of her performance. Across YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, creators remixed moments from the exchange into short-form viral content, ensuring her words would reach audiences far beyond those watching live. Fans erupted in celebration. Memes depicting her calm yet powerful demeanor went viral almost instantly. One frame of her thoughtful gaze, another of Warren blinking in stunned silence, and soon, digital communities rallied around these symbols of composure and strength. Supporters flooded comment sections with praise, calling her unflappable, brilliant, and the voice of reason in chaos. Critics, conversely, expressed shock and frustration, some attempting to downplay the significance of the exchange, but the sheer force of Crockett's delivery made dismissals difficult. The balance of public opinion began to tilt, subtly yet decisively, as millions resonated with her authenticity and intellect. Across news cycles, pundits dissected the moment endlessly. Montage sequences played across networks, slow-motion replays, split-screen comparisons, and reaction shots that underscored the tension Crockett had masterfully controlled. Influencers amplified her impact, framing her not just as a legislator, but as a cultural symbol of poise under pressure. Commentary threads highlighted the emotional resonance of her statements. People related to her struggle, admired her restraint, and celebrated the moral authority she projected. The online world became a live testament to her influence. Every clip, meme, and discussion carried a sense of validation for audiences who felt their own frustrations, aspirations, and ideals reflected in her measured responses. For millions, Crockett wasn't merely debating policy. She was articulating the dignity, courage, and clarity that many longed to see in American leadership. Her composure in the face of intense questioning became a beacon, demonstrating that truth and integrity could prevail even against the most formidable opponents. Political analysts noted a seismic shift in perception. Conversations moved from the mechanics of policy to the human qualities of leadership, authenticity, empathy, and the ability to remain grounded amid pressure. Emails flooded newsrooms, social feeds surged, and discussions in living rooms, offices, and classrooms all revolved around one shared observation. Jasmine Crockett had captured a moment that transcended the debate stage. Yet, even amid the viral praise and global attention, an undercurrent of suspense lingered. The influence of this exchange was not confined to memes, trending hashtags, or instantaneous virality. The full ripple effect, the legislative consequences, the cultural conversations, the reshaping of public trust and political discourse was only beginning. Every share, Every comment, every replay added momentum to a moment that would continue to resonate long after the cameras left the studio. For millions watching, Jasmine Crockett had become more than a politician. She had become their voice, a figure embodying calm authority and moral clarity in an era of constant noise. Her response validated their desire for leaders who speak with truth, act with integrity, and withstand scrutiny without faltering. The world was taking note, and the story was far from over. But the influence of that moment was just beginning to unfold. As the echoes of the debate faded from screens and speakers, a deeper truth began to crystallize. Beyond the flashes of cameras and the viral clips that flooded social media, the moment between Jasmine Crockett and Elizabeth Warren had revealed something enduring: dignity. Composure and unwavering truth possess a force greater than theatrics, loudness or dominance. In a political landscape often dominated by volume and performance, Crockett's calm, measured response stood as a testament to the power of restraint, intellect, and moral clarity. Every line she spoke resonated not because it shouted the loudest, but because it carried authority grounded in principle. Her poise demonstrated that true leadership is not measured by who can command the most attention in the room, but by who can remain steadfast under scrutiny, articulate ideas with precision, and respond with reason rather than reaction. This clarity cut through noise, leaving observers, from political analysts to ordinary viewers, both stunned and inspired. Crockett's words were a mirror of the courage required to stand firm in a world where spectacle often masquerades as substance. Elizabeth Warren's momentary silence, captured on live television, added an unexpected layer of reflection. Her pause was not just a reaction to Crockett's incisive reply. It symbolized a subtle, humbling lesson about the value of listening, accountability, and the recognition that intellect alone does not guarantee dominance. In that instant, viewers witnessed a shift in perception. Power is not inherently tied to authority or reputation. It is earned through integrity, empathy, and the ability to communicate truth under pressure. The silence of a seasoned senator spoke volumes, reminding the audience that even the most formidable figures can learn from the grace and insight of others. The broader implications extended far beyond this single exchange. Crockett's performance illuminated what effective leadership should embody in the digital age: authenticity, courage, and the capacity to inspire without resorting to intimidation or grandstanding. Her composure served as a blueprint for those seeking to make an impact in public life, whether in politics, community activism, or civic engagement. It affirmed that those who anchor their actions in truth and dignity can shift narratives, influence opinions, and command respect without sacrificing their principles. Audiences internalized the moral resonance of the moment. Millions recognized themselves in Crockett's steadfastness, the tireless advocacy, the perseverance in the face of criticism, the refusal to be rattled by attempts at domination. The viral spread of her response was more than entertainment. It was validation, a reminder that courage coupled with clarity can reverberate far beyond any single stage or debate. People across the country shared, commented, and reflected on what they had witnessed, carrying the lesson into their own lives, workplaces, and communities. Ultimately, the clash became a narrative about the enduring value of truth and the quiet strength of those who wield it wisely. It proved that leadership is not a contest of who shouts the loudest, but a demonstration of who can maintain integrity and composure when challenged most. It reinforced the notion that moments of calm, well-considered truth have the power to disarm arrogance, shift perceptions, and inspire collective reflection. Sometimes, the truest power isn't in the voice raised, but in the truth calmly spoken. In that truth, Jasmine Crockett's impact will endure, a beacon for anyone who believes that dignity, courage, and clarity can triumph over spectacle, noise, and intimidation. The lesson is timeless. Steadfast authenticity commands respect, shapes discourse, and leaves an indelible mark on the world. As the studio lights dimmed and the cameras powered down, the story of Jasmine Crockett's unforgettable exchange with Senator Elizabeth Warren lingered in the minds of viewers. This wasn't just a debate. It was a masterclass in composure, clarity, and moral courage. From the tension-filled opening question to the viral moment of her calm yet decisive rebuttal, Crockett had demonstrated that dignity and truth can prevail even in the most high-pressure, spotlighted arenas. Every pause, every carefully chosen word, reinforced a lesson that resonated far beyond politics. Steadfast integrity commands attention and respect. If this moment gave you chills, it's because you witnessed calm strength in real time. You saw a leader who refused to be rattled, who turned scrutiny into an opportunity to speak truth, and whose presence alone reshaped perceptions. This wasn't about winning a debate. It was about standing firm, embodying courage, and proving that the right response doesn't always have to be the loudest. Now, it's your turn to carry the conversation forward. Comment below with your thoughts. What did Crockett's composure teach you? Share this video to inspire others to recognize the power of authenticity over theatrics. Subscribe to stay connected with stories that highlight courage, dignity, and the transformative impact of speaking truth. As the music swells and the screen fades to black, remember the lesson of this historic exchange. In a world filled with noise, those who act with clarity, courage, and conviction leave the most lasting impression. Let this moment serve as a reminder for all of us. Dignity always wins.